Good evening. This is Wednesday, October 29th, 6 days until the 2008 presidential election. Audience estimates will await sunrise, but if the 3 broadcast and 4 cable networks on which Barack Obama purchased the same half hour tonight, this one included, had the same sized audiences tonight that they did Tuesday, the Democratic nominee might have been seen this evening in about 40 million households. Our 5th story on this late edition of Countdown. While Obama was doing that, Senator McCain was phoning it in. Ominous robocalls. Ominous both in their content and in their locale, in his home state of Arizona. At 8 p.m. Eastern, TV first. Senator Obama first airing that half-hour, multi-million-dollar primetime infomercial, the first time since Ross Perot that a candidate aired an extended advertisement of that kind. In it, the Democratic nominee again sharing the details of his own biography, as well as the details of the struggles of 4 working American families.
This election's a defining moment. The chance for our leaders to meet the demands of these challenging times and keep faith with our people. For the past 20 months, I've traveled the length of this country. And Michelle and I have met so many Americans who are looking for real and lasting change that makes a difference in their lives. Their stories are American stories. Stories that reflect the state of our union. I'd like to introduce you to some of those people tonight.
2 of those people were named Larry and Juanita Stewart from Sardinia, Ohio.
We had our home paid for, so we just knew that retirement would be great.
But with her rheumatoid arthritis and other ailments, their medical bills have been rising.
I take 12 different medications per day. When Larry was working, all of that was covered. When he retired, I did not have medical insurance. And each year, it just got worse, worse, worse.
Obama volunteering for the responsibility of keeping Juanita Stewart healthy, but in the endorsement by John Adams, no, not the second president, instead the retired brigadier general, that was addressing Senator Obama's qualifications for keeping people like Mrs. Stewart safe.
As a retired general officer from the U.S. Army, it makes a difference to me how a potential commander-in-chief thinks about war and peace. That's what we're looking for in a president. Somebody that understands the stakes and has the courage and the judgment to approach them rationally and with a sense of duty to the Constitution and the people of the United States. And that's why I think he's going to be a great president.
Doesn't look anything like Paul Giamatti. Senator McCain launching a preemptive strike against Obama's 30-minute infomercial with a 30-second ad encompassing what seems to be every attack he has ever launched during this long campaign.
Behind the fancy speeches, grand promises, and TV specials lies the truth. With crises at home and abroad, Barack Obama lacks the experience America needs, and it shows. His response to our economic crisis is to spend and tax our economy deeper into recession. The fact is, Barack Obama is not ready yet.
I'm John McCain, and I approve this message.
And then within the last hour, Senator McCain alleged that tonight's Obama infomercial was paid for by potentially corrupt money, you know, with the small contributions of Americans like you.
What's happened now is that there's hundreds of millions of dollars that are undocumented credit cards. And we don't know where they came from. We don't know who contributed it. In all my career, I've been trying to increase transparency, accountability, and bring curbs to the flow of money. You tell me the next time now a presidential candidate will take public financing when Senator Obama has shown you can raise millions of dollars. And so we don't know who those donors are.
Time now to turn to our own Howard Fineman, also, of course, senior Washington correspondent for Newsweek magazine, tonight joining us from Harrisburg, PA, where he's been talking to swing voters. Howard, good evening.
Hi, Keith.
Were there any shades perceived of Ross Perot tonight, or did this thing achieve what Obama intended it to achieve? Did it make him look more like an American president rather than less like one?
Well, it made him look like a man who had experienced America. You know, John McCain in those clips you played said that Obama doesn't have enough experience. But what Obama was showing in this incredibly well-produced half hour, terrifically well-produced, is that he had experienced America, that he had seen it, that he had heard these stories, he had absorbed him. And in that marvelous narrator's voice of his, and I thought it's the voice that made the biggest impression on me as a viewer, He was saying, I have heard you, and I'm telling your stories back to you because I understand them and want to fix what's wrong in the American story. That was the basic idea of this. By the way, people like Davis Guggenheim, the Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker who worked on the Al Gore movie, worked on this thing. This was very, very carefully done. They told me in advance, Keith, yesterday it was going to be very meaty. I thought it was going to be like Ross Perot with the flip charts. It wasn't anything like that. It was very emotional, very deep, but caring. That was the image that Obama wanted to create tonight.
You made a great point. In this time of the recognition of Governor Palin's TV savvy, we tend to overlook how good a speaker, particularly a reader of scripts, Obama is. But this other point that you made, really Richard Wolff was with us earlier, right after the thing ended, and he reflected if he had any complaint with it, if there was any soft spot, it was that it might have been too polished, too good. Did the faux White House setting for some of it, might that prove more trouble than it was worth?
Well, I agree with Richard. It was more the sort of Zamfir music there. I mean, we got a little too much pan flute in there, perhaps. But I thought the stories of the people were very well told. And again, the point of doing that was to say he may lack experience in certain respects, but he has experienced the country. He has immersed himself in the country, and his proposals are designed to address that. Yes, it was very slickly done. Too slick, I don't know. Davis Guggenheim won an Academy Award, so I don't know about that. But I think it was very emotional. You know, it wasn't flip charts. It was emotional, and I think that depends on what your view of the role of television is, whether that's going to work or not.
Well, we've never been accused of being too slick, so I don't know what that experience would be like. But if undecided voters, if somebody tuned this thing in place of their regular show on any of those networks and watched it hesitatingly or grudgingly or with a plan to turn away from it at some point, do you think they were surprised, hooked, sold?
Well, you used the word that I would have used, which is hooked. That's why it was emotional. That's why it wasn't a whole laundry list of details of proposals. It was saying, don't worry about me. Not only am I not a threat, but I understand you. I come from where you come from. I hear the voices that you hear, and those are the voices that I will hear if you choose me as president. So I think while he was trying to rally the base here to some extent, especially with the texting numbers and the 800 number and so forth, and some of his supporters who were brought out to testify on his behalf, like Bill Richardson and, of course, Joe Biden. He was also speaking to hesitant, undecided voters with people like John Adams, who you mentioned, and Eric Schmidt of Google, saying, look, don't worry about me. I'm a middle-of-the-road guy you can trust.
Howard Fineman of MSNBC and Newsweek in Harrisburg, PA for us. As always, sir, great thanks. Have a good night.